Welcome to Mondays Learn with BeautySlesh, where every Monday I post new tutorials about microblading, shading, and hair strokes with machine procedures. For this tutorial, I will show you and explain you and answer your question, how do I position myself when I do microblading and when I do the shading. So of course, to answer your question, the first thing, whatever position that makes you feel comfortable, whatever position that you can hold your hand in a stable manner, that you don't shake and you don't turn yourself too much and feel uncomfortable all over the body. So this will be my client, and let's review how do I position myself during the microblading procedure first. So of course, as for myself, when I start to microblade on her right side, I usually start either from the head of the brow or from the arch. Let's say I start from the head of the brow and I move towards the tail. So if I'm working on her right side and I microblade the head of the brow, I position myself like this. Once I move into the tail, and once my strokes are still has to be from away from myself towards me. So if I microblade in that direction, I sit in this direction. If my strokes are by diagonal, if they align more to this side, I'm sitting here. If my strokes are coming from arch to the tail, the arch is here, the tail is here, I'm sitting here, so I'm microblading here. Now, how do I work on this side? And this side is a little bit tricky. There are two ways you can do this side. So I can microblade this way, and every time I'm leaning to this side. Usually I tend to do the tail. It's easier for me to do the tail from the tail towards me. So the bottom line I always do from the tail towards me. Some people like to do all the brow in this manner. So they lean their hand to the chest, to the client's chest, and they just microblading this side. This is totally fine. It's just when I was starting out, I already used to microblade this way. I can feel it better than doing this way. I don't feel the tool that much. So it's really up to you whether you want to do this side completely like that, or you want to do this side like this. Let me show you specifically this side a little bit closer so you can see it better. So if I am microblading this side, I do these strokes, let's say first. I still go to here and continue doing the strokes. And I can also do the upper part in this manner. But then I can turn to here and complete my tail, because I like to do from outside towards myself. And I can do this the same in here. So let me show you one more time. I do the tail like this, somewhere up to this point, this middle. I do the lower part the same. And then somewhere from here, I already start to do from the tail like this. The same from the upper part. Please keep in mind, this is not a microblading pattern, it's just random strokes to show you the direction of my work. And then they combine together. And it is just because I feel this is more comfortable for me to use my tool. Whatever makes you feel comfortable. And again, the other people might do like this, right? The key point, you have to really stretch the skin. And then you just microblade completely. You can microblade all brow like that. For myself, I do not stretch into 3 points. I stretch only into 2 points on my first path. I do stretch into 3 points when I fill in the pigment into the same hair stroke. This is just a little trick I want to remind you. So for instance, for this side, I only have 2 point stretch, and even sometimes my finger is just placed on my finger here, and I do microblading because my blades are very sharp. And you don't need to stretch into 3 points, but then only when you fill in the pigment. Okay, I hope it's clear. And about the shading, so for the shading is the same. So I ask my client to come closer to me, and I shade from the tail to the head of the brow, and then I turn my client even more, and I shade here from the same, from tail towards the head of the brow. So for the shading, it's a little bit easier. You don't really have to change position. So usually for the shading, I just sit here and I just ask my client to turn the head if I'm working on her left side. By the way, more tutorials and more patterns are on my Instagram, BeautySlesh, and Learn BeautySlesh, so we can connect there. And also I have the Facebook group, which is called Microblading. Anyway, it's also BeautySlesh on Facebook, so you can find it also in description down below. And usually if you post any questions there, you will have a lot of replies, and also the content from there, the questions from you, I can use for my next Monday's Learn with BeautySlesh tutorials. And if you're new to my channel, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. And I believe there was more, so we have a nice list, but you are welcome to send me new interesting questions that you have, and I will see you next Monday on Monday's Learn with BeautySlesh.